Hello, everybody. I am FTA, and welcome to FTCR's very first Zelda LP. We're going to be playing one of the most fan-favorite games in the franchise, A Link to the Past. I'm joined by Smoothies and everyone's favorite speedrunner and recorder of this footage, MBM. MBM, please take over, because now I have nothing else to say.
How can you have nothing to say about Legend of Zelda Triforce of the Gods?
Which is a much, much better game, not a name.
It's a better name, better game altogether, but this is back when Nintendo of America had a very, very strict, no religious things in their game. So, a lot of minute translations were put and they just completely scrapped the title of this game.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't until, I think, Ocarina of Time when they went back on that policy and they're like, fine, we can have the word temple in our game.
Yeah, and also, well, speaking of Ocarina of Time, I assume this is the original Super Nintendo version, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Super Nintendo version, which I believe is...
I wanted to play the Game Boy Advance version.
Go fuck yourselves, movies.
I was going to say that because the Game Boy Advance version, from what I remember, actually rewrote this intro to fit in more with the backstory established in Ocarina of Time.
Really?
So you do. I mean, it's pretty much the same. They just slightly reword a few things to fit in more of Ocarina of Time, but it's essentially the same story.
Did they switch wise men for sages or something?
Yeah, that is literally it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
It's literally what they do, because they do the wise men and the knights, and then when Ocarina of Time came around, they were trying to be like, oh no, Ocarina of Time is supposed to be the imprisoning war in this backstory. So they try to change that, but then when the whole official timeline came out, they're like, yeah, no, never mind, we kind of fucked that up. And it's just more proof that the Game Boy Advance version of A Link to the Past is hot fucking garbage and no one should ever play it.
But that's the only version I've played.
Oh no, Gareth!
Well, I'll be honest with you, growing up as a kid, I never played them. Nobody I knew played Zelda. I think the first Zelda game I was ever introduced to was my brother had Ocarina of Time. I never played the originals at all. And so then when it was re-released on the Game Boy Advance, because like original SNES cards for Link to the Past are pretty expensive. So I'm like, no, I'll play the Game Boy Advance version. I'm good. It's cheaper.
But how did you deal with them putting Child Link's voice over everything?
I was about to say the exact same thing.
I love that. I'm weird. I like that idea.
It's so bad. And the camera zoomed in so much. Like, you get you get 3/4 of what you would normally see on the SNES screen. And I know
that is a problem. I will admit that it's the same problem. I'm gonna get our Sonic referencing quick in this one, boys. It's the same problem that the Game Gear versions of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 had, and Sonic Chaos for that matter.
Yep, Sonic 2.
Sweet.
That's our quota. That's my Sonic reference done. I'll see you boys on part 2.
No, don't go, Gareth. We need you. I need you.
Is anyone going to ask me what my first experience with this game was?
What was your first experience, movies?
So, my dad got a new job.
Nobody cares.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Dude, it's actually really interesting. Like,
Go say that.
I was in a hotel room with my parents and my sister. We were all like on our way to Florida, moving from Louisiana, so moving to a bad place, but from a worse place. So
that's as Zelda is one to do.
Yeah.
Yes. So there was like in this hotel room there was like this. It's so weird, like this Super Nintendo that was like hooked up to their local internet or something. Like it didn't make any sense, but you could rent games electronically into the Super Nintendo, and this is one that I played, and I've never seen that technology anywhere else before.
Oh, so like the Satellivision.
Maybe?
Well, no, you know what, Steven, because Sega had that in the 90s. I forget what it was called, but it was this internet thing you could plug in and rent games for.
Yeah, and they did that with this, because that's the, it's called BS, BS Legend of Zelda. And they did like an update of Zelda 1, and then they did a weird, like, kind of meta sequel to A Link to the Past that had timed events. Like, you had a real life clock going, and it was like, oh, you can only enter this dungeon at like 2 p.m. So it was very much kind of like Majora's Mask, but with actual real time on your SNES, and it's super cool, but it's janky and awkward as fuck.
Now, I want to say, isn't that another, also with changing the name, and you might know this more, in the Japanese version, what we just saw is Link's uncle was like, Zelda is your ... In the Japanese version, doesn't the uncle just flat out say, Zelda is your destiny?
Yeah, it's like, she's your destiny, she's your hope, it's super...
She's your density.
Yeah, she's your dentist.
Zelda is your dentist. You need to get your wisdom teeth removed, Link. Go now.
That will be a $30 copay. But no, the thing that's really awkward about that is that because they dotted, and because everyone wants to make everything Star Warsy for some fucking reason, everyone's like, it means Link and Zelda are siblings. But that doesn't make fucking sense in the context of even the game's plot. Like, even within the game, they established that Link is of a different bloodline than Zelda. Like, it's the whole point that he's even the hero of time. It makes no sense for them to be blood-related.
Link, Zelda is your cousin's brother's roommate from college.
So what does that make us?
It means nothing. Now I'm gonna die.
And he does die, so just to let y'all know, it's not just, oh, the uncle went away. No, uncle's dead.
But you got a boomerang, so shut up, cried.
Yeah, Boomerang 2, you don't necessarily have to get it. With this game, I believe the boomerang and the lantern that I'm going to get in a bit, there's a weird mechanic where they can actually be in multiple chests. Like, they do backup chests, so in case you don't get it at one period of time, you can get it later. With the lantern, that's the chest that's in the house that I just decided not to get. If you don't get it in Link's house, then it is in this chest next to Zelda, but you do need to get the lantern at some point, and I think the boomerang, the backup chest is all the way in the Dark World, so it's pretty good to get it now.
So I forget at this point, obviously, because this was years before there was any type of like timeline established. So at this point, were fans just assuming that the games were just sequels to one another?
So the way it was working out was, I think the closest they did to a timeline with this game, if at all, because Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, they're direct sequels. Like
clearly sequels. Yeah,
they market it. It's in the plot. So the way that this one worked is that it was one of two camps. Either this was like it's a reboot. This is essentially Super Legend of Zelda. They just didn't want to do that naming scheme, so they're starting over.
I'm so glad they did, and that I used to hate that naming scheme. I'm so glad this wasn't called Super Legend of Zelda. It's such a dumb fucking name.
It was either that, or I believe they were trying to say that this was a prequel to all of it. So this was, the first Skyward Sword. Like, this is where it all began. This is where it all started.
Well, wasn't Ocarina of Time also meant to be the first one, and then Minish Cap everyone thought was the first one? I mean, obviously stuff like Twilight Princess has to come after, and Wind Waker and Twilight have to come after Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
But I think before that, there are a few games people are like, this is the first one. This is the first one.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah. I mean, so you know what? Again, this might date the LP, but we're recording this a day after Breath of the Wild has come out.
Oh my god, I know.
Has that been confirmed where that fits in yet? Has anyone finished it? They've possible spoilers, but
No spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers. I've been playing it, and I don't know where it goes yet.
Gotcha.
I played it so much in the past 2 days.
Thanks to a friend, I just got the Wii U version, and as soon as we're done, I'm gonna set it up so me and Carrie can play.
Oh, good.
I am sacrificing playing Zelda to record Zelda. You fucking bastards better appreciate this.
You're no better than me now, Gareth.
Gareth,
yeah.
Last night I dreamt about playing Zelda because I've been playing it so much recently. Do you ever do that? You ever do something so much that you end up dreaming about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just think of you.
I don't know why I'm so speechless.
He's so choked up. This is a precious LP, guys.
I'm crying. But yeah, I've been playing Breath of the Wild so much because it's so fun. It's like it's like the addition of Elder Scrolls I never knew I wanted.
And I forget, you have the Wii U version, right?
Yeah, because I
Gotcha.
didn't.
I ain't buying a Switch, so there's at least 5 games I want.
Yeah, not yet.
But I forget. So I forget in terms of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, how early / late into its life cycle was this released? I forget.
So this was
This was
91.
relatively early.
Yeah, it was early.
Sorry if
one
you
of the
guys
first ones.
if you guys can hear a sick bass line, that's one of my neighbors.
I
Sorry.
can't, but I will start listening out for it because I love me some sick bass lines.
I thought you were about to say, it's like, if you hear a sick bass line, that's Koji Kondo. It's like, yeah, I mean, the soundtrack in this game
Music's
is pretty
fucking
good.
good.
Oh my
man.
god, yes.
I love the dungeon, the dungeon theme.
Well, the Light World dungeon theme for me, because there's only two.
I won't lie. Me and the missus may have gotten down to the dungeon theme to this game before.
Nice.
Because it's fucking good.
Nice 69. Because it wasn't until Link's Awakening that they started doing individual themes for individual dungeons. So in this game, all the Light World dungeons have the same theme, and all the Dark World dungeons have the same theme. And frankly, the Light World dungeon is way better.
I forget. So we said Koji Kondo did music for this. I know he did. He also did music. Was Ocarina of Time his last game working for Zelda?
No, because he also did Majora's Mask.
Oh, okay.
So he's still here and there doing all that shit. Also, lots of plot here. Everyone is just trying to let y'all know that Aghanim, who is the sage / priest / we can't talk about religion in this game / bad guy.
Old Man Jenkins.
It's Old Man Jenkins. It's red herring. Literally, it's red herring. He's been stealing away all them lady gals because he's just a nice guy, but they keep friend zoning him, so he sends them to the Dark World.
If you won't date me, no one will. Literally.
You know what's always bothered me is the glass windows in the back of this sanctuary place. Like, there's no way light could get in.
No.
They're also just teas. If you look at it, they're just like yellow tea surrounded by boxes. Just like, okay.
The overworld
The
theme
Zelda
is so good.
Yeah, the overworld. I love the something about the Super Nintendo was able to do like a fake orchestral synth pretty decently. Kind of like the way the Mega Drive could do like rock and roll bass, like better than anything else could. The fucking hearing this for the first time, even on the GBA with its terrible audio compression, it still sounded amazing.
Well, I mean, it was so good because I don't know if they used the exact one, but I do remember, because whenever I hear this version of the overworld theme, I actually think of Smash Brothers 64. Just because it sounds just like the version that they used in that. I'm not sure if it's exactly 1-to-1. They probably use this version just because in Ocarina of Time, the main Zelda theme is absent, because they did a unique theme for Hyrule Field, and the main theme doesn't come back until Majora's Mask.
Oh, you know what? I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's not an Ocarina of Time, so I always feel like they probably
0
just
out of 10, worst game ever.
It's why it's an awful, terrible game that I like so very, very much. I've openly admit I've started to come around to loving Ocarina of Time way too much, because I used to love it nostalgically. Then I was like, man, I can't love it that much. It's the overrated, overhyped game, and I'm a fucking hipster, and I gotta like the other shit. But then I actually play
MBM
Ocarina of Time 3D.
MBM loves the CDI Zelda games.
I love them so much.
He's that guy.
I'm that asshole. But once I started 100%ing it a whole bunch, like, I started really appreciating Ocarina of Time. Not as much as Link to the Past. Link to the Past is still my favorite, but that's mostly because I do lean more towards 2D Zeldas than 3D Zeldas. But in terms of the 3Ds, I've started to come around and love Ocarina of Time again so much.
Because I think normally between, if we for the moment remove Breath of the Wild, because it is so new, I think generally speaking, Ocarina of Time and Link to the Past tend to be the most like. What's your favorite Zelda game? Those two seem to be the most the biggest choices.
And then, of course, everyone likes to throw in the Majora's Mask ones. And I like what Majora's Mask does, but when I actually, like, play it and I think about it, it's like, it doesn't resonate as well as it should.
I agree. I don't like Majora's Mask, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that, but I don't care.
I need to replay it. I borrowed it off a friend once years ago, like when it was pretty new, and I hated it. I hated the mechanic. Everyone's been saying it's good. Give it a second try. I bought. Again, I always end up buying Zelda games for Kerry just so I can play them as well. But I bought the remake on 3DS.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if you guys know this, but having a kid kind of takes up all your time. So I haven't had a lot of time to play these really long Zelda games I keep buying.
Yeah. Well, because for me, I feel like I love Majora's Masks as an idea. Like when I think back at all the stuff it did, it's like, oh man, I love that. I love it when I think about it. But then when I play it, it's like, wow, I don't like it. And then literally I'll put the controller down, think about it, I love it. So I feel like I love Majora's Mask more in my head than as a game.
I was like that with a girl once.
So MBM, what you're saying is that Majora's Mask is the Sonic Heroes of the Zelda franchise.
Yeah.
Great idea on paper. Not very good execution, and I'm looking forward to all of the downvotes and comments calling us morons.
Dude, who gives a fuck? These are video games. They're toys for children.
Get fucked, internet.
Also, this game talks a lot about the Hylia, even though it has nothing to do with anything, and it's something that I know a lot of people bitched about with Skyward Sword, which it is a valid complaint. Skyward Sword is meant to be an origin story, but it just feels like you're playing the aftermath of everything. Like the story and the war with the goddess, like it already happened. Now you're just cleaning up the
that's
mess.
True.
You're cleaning up the mess. Like even though it's the origin story, you're dealing with the aftermath.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
So we need another Origin game where we actually do that.
Yeah, where we actually play the actual plot of Skyward Sword. But A Link to the Past is the same thing. They talk a lot about the Hylia. They talk a lot about the Sealing War. And so that's why I'm not as mad with Skyward Sword about doing that, is because A Link to the Past does literally the exact same thing. You're cleaning up the mess of the plot. You're not actually playing the plot.
No, what we need is a planet creation simulator where we play as the three goddesses and create the world.
And then that's
the origin story we need.
And then we put all of Hyrule in a house, and then we set the house on fire.
Link's house firebox. But I think the reason why you can't have a game where it's just a war would be then because that's essentially what Hyrule Warriors is.
Yeah.
It's just them going and fighting a war, which, works great for that game, but I don't think you could make a traditional Zelda game that's just a war.
Yeah, no, and I understand why they do it. And then that sort of actually ties into the fact that these are the Legend of Zeldas, not the Battle of Zelda, War of Zelda. Like, you're dealing with the stories that have already happened. And, I mean, the games kind of do that a lot. I think Ocarina of Time is probably one of the few where you actually are preemptively acting. I mean, honestly, the whole plot of Ocarina of Time is that Zelda's fucking everything up because she thinks Ganondorf is gonna be bad because she's a racial profiler.
That's one of my favorite tweets of all time. It's just casual reminder, Ocarina of Time only happens because Zelda
saw a brown foreigner and just thought he was gonna tear down their beloved kingdom.
Because Zelda racially profiles a foreigner. Like, Jesus fuck, that's fucked up.
Think about it. Everything else, I mean, Wind Waker, the kingdom's already drowned and it's already happened. Twilight Princess, I mean, Zelda, that's one of the first cutscenes. Zelda's already surrendered the kingdom. Everything has already happened in most Zelda games. Now you're just cleaning up the mess.
Game over.
You're kind of blowing my mind here.
I know, right?
So first part, we're going to be doing a lot of the side quests in Kakariko. You can really do these whenever you want. Honestly, when you leave the sanctuary, you can just go to the first dungeon. You don't have to do any of this shit, but I love A Link to the Past so much, and I love getting all the stuff. So with this particular playthrough, I'm not going to say it's 100%. I am completing the inventory screen, because I know if I say I'm doing 100%, we're going to get a shit fuck ton of comments wondering why I'm not getting the dungeon maps and the compasses, and my only response is, because fuck you.
I like how that guy just
Yeah.
casually watches me walk into his house and blow a fucking hole into it.
It's a new wall. You find out that those brothers are shitlords, and they're just arguing. But yeah, so I'm going to get all the heart pieces.
MBM, this I didn't know you could do that. that was crazy. How'd you do that?
It's a fence. It's a fence. You
Pro
jump over
strats.
it.
Yeah, but you can't jump over other parts of the fence. Why only that one section?
Because I'm Mexican?
Oh,
No, you're a Mexican based monkey.
Oh, right. So that's why I can only jump
you
over
don't
the
even have to
little
bring
fence.
the racial slurs into it, Gareth. Jesus.
That's his name. He's a monkey.
Okay, here we go.
I'm worse than Zelda is. Fuck.
Like, I heard recently that Zelda tapped Ganon's phones, and
Uh-oh. It's Moana.
This Moana. What the fuck?
Oh, you never saw the skit where they were explaining the racial profiling with Barbie dolls. Like, look, here's Barbie. She's coming back from her vacation. We're gonna let her into America. Why? Because she's blonde. And then they pull out a Moana doll. Like, uh-oh, it's Moana. It's because America's being shitty lately. That's the joke.
Lately.
I'm gonna give my country the benefit of the doubt. It did good things once.
Okay. When you find those, let me know. Back to Zelda.
Will do.
whoever's editing this, just put up a picture of Bernie Sanders and play in the arms of an angel.
In the arms of the angel, fly.
He would have prevented the imprisoning more.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, so you could just go straight to the dungeon, but instead, if you're playing this super casually or you're playing it as a child, the priest tells you to go to Kakariko to find this dude, Sahasrara Ralahala Shalala. And what happens is you go to his house and his wife's saying, nah, he's not here. Maybe you can find someone else. So then you gotta find his grandson, and his grandson's like, oh no, he's not here either. You gotta go all the way over here. So then you eventually find him, and he's like, I can't help you. You need to go to the dungeon. When the priest very well could have just been like, yo, go to the dungeon.
Can you? I forget. Knowing that, can you just go there? Do you have to do all that bullshit first?
Yeah, you can just go straight to Eastern Palace. You don't have to do any of this. I just kind of did it to show it off.
All right, let's turn the game off.
Yeah, you don't even have to play.
Don't even need to play the game. Just watch the Let's Play.
We don't have to save Zelda. Who cares?
That's a good spot.
And
And
that went better than I thought it would.